Many years ago, in a small village called Alele, there lived a young woman named Wumi. She was in her early 20s and was not married yet. But Wumi was not like other young women her age. Unlike other women her age, who dreamed of falling in love with young, handsome men, Wumi did not care about that. Wumi's friends, Ife and Bola, often talked about their ideal husbands, good-looking men who would work hard to build a life together. But Wumi would laugh and shake her head. Why marry a poor young man, she would say. If you do that, you will suffer with him until you both are old and still poor. Instead, Wumi had a specific idea of what she wanted in a husband. I want to marry a rich old man, she would tell her friends. Why do you want to marry an old man? Her friend Ife would ask. Wumi always answered the same way. If I marry a young man, we will both be poor. We will struggle together for years. But if I marry a rich old man, he will take care of me. Then when he dies, I will get all his money. At first, Ife and Bola thought Wumi was joking. But as time went on, they realized she was serious. Wumi started going to places where rich old men gathered. She would visit widowers in the village, always on the lookout for her perfect match. Wumi's behavior confused many people in Alele. They could not understand why such a young, pretty woman wasn't interested in men her own age. But Wumi did not care about what others thought. She had a plan, and she was determined to follow it. One day, Wumi heard some interesting news. In the nearby town of Okala, there was a very wealthy old man named Tokumbo. He had no children and his wife had died just 2 months ago. Now, Tokumbo was looking for someone to take care of him. As soon as Wumi heard this, she knew she had found her man. The very next morning, she got up early and set out on the journey to Okala. It was a long walk, but Wumi didn't mind. She was excited about the possibility of meeting Tokumbo. When Wumi arrived in Okala, she was amazed by what she saw. Tokumbo's house was the biggest building she had ever seen. It was not just a house, it was a mansion. There were guards at the gate and servants walking in and out. Wumi's eyes lit up at the sight of all this wealth. But when Wumi finally met Tokumbo, she almost changed her mind. He was much older than she had imagined, and not at all good looking. His skin was very dark and dirty, and he looked weak and sickly. For a moment, Wumi wondered if she could really go through with her plan. But Wumi reminded herself why she was there. It's all for the money, she thought. I can do this. So instead of offering to be Tokumbo's caregiver, Wumi made a bold move. She told him that she wanted to be his wife. I don't want you to pay me, Wumi said to Tokumbo. I want to be your wife and take care of you for the rest of your life. Tokumbo was surprised but happy. He could not believe that such a young, beautiful woman wanted to marry him. He agreed right away, and soon they were married in a small but fancy ceremony. When people in Alele heard about Wumi's marriage, they were shocked. They could not understand why she had chosen an old, unattractive man over the many young men in the village. After the wedding, Wumi moved into Tokumbo's house. She became the madam of the house. She had many servants to help her. She could eat whatever she wanted and wear beautiful clothes. She still took good care of Tokumbo, just like she had promised, but deep down, Wumi was always waiting for Tokumbo to die. She thought about all the money she could get when he was gone. One night, something unexpected happened. Wumi went to a party in the village. She came home late and had drunk too much. Before she knew what was happening, she and Tokumbo were together in bed. The next morning, Wumi was very upset. She could not believe she had slept with Tokumbo. She took a long hot bath, trying to feel clean again, but it did not help. 2 months later, Wumi was at the breakfast table helping Tokumbo eat. Suddenly, Tokumbo smiled at her and said, "Thank you so much." Wumi thought he was thanking her for taking care of him, but Tokumbo said something that shocked her. "I never thought I would have a child of my own before I died. Thank you for making it possible. He or she will inherit all my wealth. Wumi was confused. What are you talking about? She asked. I may be old, but I know the signs, Tokunbo replied. You are pregnant, my dear wife. Wumi felt like the ground was opening under her feet. She was pregnant? How could this happen? Then she remembered the night of the party. Oh no, she thought. Why didn't I do something to prevent this? Why didn't I notice I was pregnant before he did? Wumi was very angry. It was bad enough being married to Tokunbo, but now she was going to have his baby. This wasn't part of her plan at all. The next few months were very hard for Wumi. She was sad all the time and didn't want to talk to anyone. She had thought she would inherit all of Tokunbo's money, but now the baby would get everything instead. One evening, Wumi went into labor. Tokunbo had arranged for the best midwives to help her. After 2 hours of pain and pushing, Wumi gave birth to a baby girl. Congratulations, the midwife said, putting the baby in Wumi's arms. It is a baby girl. But when Wumi looked at the baby, she was horrified. The baby looked just like her husband. She had the same dark and dirty skin. Take her away, Wumi shouted. I don't want to see her. Tokunbo, on the other hand, was overjoyed. He couldn't stop smiling when he saw his daughter. But Wumi refused to hold or feed the baby. She would let the child cry for hours without doing anything to help. One of the maids, a kind woman named Abi, felt sorry for the baby. She started taking care of the baby, feeding and putting her to sleep. Wumi cried all night. How could she live with a child who looked just like Tokunbo? She had thought everything would be over when Tokunbo died. But now she was stuck with this baby forever. I hate that child, Wumi said over and over. 8 days after the birth, Tokunbo organized a big naming ceremony. He named the baby girl Tope, which means praise in their language. But Wumi could not bring herself to feel any love for her daughter. As Tope grew, it was Abi who took care of her. Wumi went about her daily life as if she didn't have a child at all. When Tope was 7 years old, Tokunbo finally passed away. But instead of inheriting everything, Wumi learned that most of Tokunbo's property would go to Tope when she turned 18. Until then, Wumi would only have access to the money to take care of Tope and maintain the house. Wumi was furious, but this wasn't what she had wanted at all. As soon as Tokunbo was buried, she started making changes to reduce the cost of maintaining the house so she could save some for herself. Wumi fired all the servants, including Abi, who had been so kind to Tope. She took Tope out of school and made her do all the housework. Poor Tope, who was just a little girl, now had to cook, clean, and wash clothes. Wumi treated her daughter like a servant, not like a child. The neighbors were shocked. They could not understand how a mother could be so wicked to her own daughter. Wumi made 2 new friends who often visit, and they were just as mean to Tope as Wumi was. One of them, a woman named Awele, was specially mean. She would call Tope names and make her dance for their entertainment. Come here, you ugly little witch, Awele would say. Dance for us. We want to see the devil's child perform. Tope would dance with tears in her eyes, dreaming of the day she would finally turn 18 and could leave this terrible life behind. She planned to sell the house as soon as she could and move far away to start a new life. One day when Tope was about 15, Wumi told her to prepare a big meal of fufu and egusi soup. Then Wumi left to visit her friends as she often did. Tope was very tired that day. She had been cleaning the entire house and had not had a chance to rest. When Wumi came back home and found that the food was not ready, she was very angry. You useless girl, she shouted. Why is my food not ready? In anger, Wumi did something terrible. She picked up the pot of boiling water and poured it over Tope. The girl screamed in pain as the hot water burned her skin. But Wumi did not care. She left Tope lying on the kitchen floor, crying in pain. However, Tope managed to get up and put some salt on the bones. It hurt so much that she could not lie down to sleep. She spent the whole night sitting up, crying from pain. The next morning, Wumi came into Tope's room, shouting as usual, "Why are you still in your room? Where is my breakfast?" Tope tried to explain that she was in a lot of pain. She begged Wumi to take her to the hospital, but Wumi just laughed. "Hospital? Don't be silly," she said. "Get up and make my breakfast right now." Tope struggled to her feet and managed to make Wumi breakfast. Over the next few days, she used salt and some leaves from the garden to treat her burns. Amazingly, they started to heal. But Wumi's wickedness did not stop. She continued to treat Tope badly, making her work hard and never showing any kindness or love. Years passed, and finally, Tope's 18th birthday was approaching. She was counting down the days until she could claim her inheritance and leave. But just before her birthday, something unexpected happened. One day, Wumi was drinking and having fun with her friends when she suddenly collapsed. Her friends panicked and rushed her to the local hospital, but the doctors there said Wumi's condition was too serious for them to handle. They referred her to a bigger hospital. At the big hospital, the doctors had bad news. Wumi's kidneys were failing. She needed a kidney transplant as soon as possible or she would die. "Where can we get a kidney donor?" Wumi's friend Tinuke asked. The doctor explained that any of Wumi's friends could give her a kidney. "No way," said Awele. "I am not giving up my kidney." One by one, all of Wumi's friends left. In the end, the only person left by Wumi's bedside was Tope. She looked at her mother, the woman who had treated her so badly for so many years. Tope thought for a long time about what to do. Wumi had never been like a mother to her. She had treated Tope terribly for years. Tope looked at the scars on her body from all the times Wumi had hurt her. Then Tope made a decision that surprised everyone. She looked at the doctor and said, "I will do it. I will donate one of my kidneys to save my mother." When Wumi heard this, she started crying. For the first time, she realized how wrong she had been. Unable to believe Tope would do this for her after everything she had done. The surgery was successful. Tope used the money her father had left for her, the money Wumi had almost wasted, to pay the hospital bills. As they recovered in the hospital, Wumi could not stop thanking Tope. When they were back home, Wumi sat Tope down and asked her a question that had been on her mind. "Tope," she said, "why did you save my life? After everything I have done to you, you could have let me die. You would have gotten your inheritance and be free of me. Why did you choose to save me?" Tope looked at Wumi and simply said, "I saved your life because you are my mother." Wumi broke down in tears and hugged Tope tightly. She knew that she had never really been a mother to Tope. All her so-called friends had abandoned her when she needed help, but Tope, whom she had treated so badly, had saved her life. From that day on, Wumi changed completely. She spent the rest of her life trying to make up for how badly she had treated Tope. She became the loving mother she should have been all along. Tope forgave her mother, and over time they built the loving relationship they should have had from the very beginning. Wumi often told people that Tope was an angel sent to teach her the true meaning of love and family. In the end, Wumi realized that the greatest wealth wasn't money or property, but the love of family. She regretted the years she had wasted chasing material wealth when the greatest treasure had been right in front of her all along, her daughter, Tope.